Part I, Foundations of Government Performance. Chapter 1, The Ecosystem of Public Service. To perform effectively within government, one must first understand the environment in which it operates. This ecosystem is not an accident, it is a complex, designed structure intended to balance efficiency with equity, action with accountability, and innovation with stability. This chapter provides the map to navigate this terrain. 11. Understanding bureaucracy, structure, rules, and hierarchies. The term bureaucracy is often used pejoratively, synonymous with red tape and delay. However, in its pure form, bureaucracy is a rational organizational model designed to ensure fairness, predictability, and equal treatment under the law. Structure: government is organized into departments, agencies, bureaus, and offices, each with a specific mission. This hierarchical structure defines clear lines of authority and responsibility. Understanding your place in this org chart is the first step to understanding how to get things done. Rules and procedures, standard operating procedures, SOPs, exist to minimize arbitrariness and ensure that every citizen is treated according to the same set of guidelines. While they can sometimes feel restrictive, they are a primary mechanism for preventing corruption and favoritism. The rationale: the key to high performance is not to fight the bureaucratic structure but to understand its purpose. Effective public servants learn to work within these frameworks, leveraging rules for consistency and using hierarchies to secure necessary approvals and resources efficiently. 12. The role of legislation, policy, and mandates. Government action does not spring from nowhere. Every program, service, and regulation is born from a legal authority. Legislation: the laws passed by legislative bodies, Congress, state legislatures, city councils, create agencies, assign missions, and appropriate funds. Your job, ultimately, is to execute the will of the legislature as expressed in statute. Policy: the what policy is the translation of broad legal mandates into specific goals, plans, and objectives. It is developed by agency leadership, often in consultation with elected officials and stakeholders, to guide decision-making. Mandates: the must-do. These are specific, often non-discretionary, requirements. They can be legal, a new law you must implement; executive, an order from the president or governor; or judicial, a court ruling. Performance requires a clear understanding of which actions are discretionary and which are mandatory. 13. Stakeholder mapping: citizens, elected officials, and agencies. A stakeholder is any individual or group affected by or able to influence a government action. Unlike a corporation with a primary focus on shareholders, government has a vast and diverse array of stakeholders. Citizens/residents, the ultimate beneficiaries and owners of government. They can be engaged as individuals, through community groups, or through advocacy organizations. Elected officials and political appointees, they provide political direction, oversight, and funding. Understanding their priorities and constituencies is crucial. Other government agencies: rarely does one agency work in isolation. Success often depends on collaboration with other local, state, or federal entities. Interagency collaboration: the media acts as a conduit to the public and a mechanism for accountability. Performance implication: high performers actively map their stakeholders for every project, understanding their interests, influence, and how best to communicate with them. Ignoring a key stakeholder is a common cause of policy failure. 14. The budgetary cycle and resource constraints in government: the budget is policy expressed in financial terms. It is the ultimate constraint and the primary tool for strategic planning. The cycle: the budget process is an annual or biennial cycle of formulation, agency requests, execution, spending the allocated funds, and audit, ensuring funds were spent appropriately. Your ability to secure resources for new initiatives is tied directly to this timeline. Types of funds: understanding the difference between discretionary funds, grants, earmarked funds, and personnel budgets is critical. Many funds are siloed and cannot be easily transferred between uses. Performance within constraints: excellence is not defined by having unlimited resources but by achieving maximum public value with the resources available. This requires strategic thinking, prioritization, and often, creative problem solving. To do more with less: it means understanding that a budget is not just an accounting document but a statement of an organization's true priorities. In summary, This ecosystem of rules, mandates, stakeholders, and budgets is the playing field on which the public servant operates. Mastering its nuances is not an optional administrative skill, it is the foundational element of effective performance and impactful public service. 21 Key Performance Indicators, KPIs, vs. Public Value Outcomes. This tension lies at the heart of public sector performance management. Key performance indicators, KPIs, are quantitative, often internal, measures of activity and output. They are essential for management but can be misleading if used in isolation. Examples: number of permits processed per week, average call wait time at a helpline, percentage of potholes filled within slot, cost per transaction. Strength, easy to track, provide concrete data for operational improvement. Weakness, measures the what and how much, but not the so what. Processing permits quickly is meaningless if the decisions are poor or unfair. Public value outcomes are the broader, often qualitative, changes in society that result from government actions. They are the ultimate goal but can be difficult to measure directly. Examples: a thriving local business community, outcome of efficient permit office. Improved public health and safety, outcome of effective health department. Increased public trust in government. Strength, captures the true mission and impact of government work. Weakness, often long-term, influenced by external factors, and resistant to simple measurement. The high performer's mindset. The most effective public servants understand both. They use KPIs to manage their processes efficiently but always keep the ultimate public value outcome as their North Star. They can articulate how their daily tasks, and their KPIs, contribute to the larger mission. 22 Efficiency, effectiveness, and equity. The triple mandate. Performance in government is a three-legged stool. Removing one causes the entire effort to topple. Efficiency, doing things right. The relationship between inputs, tax dollars, staff time, and outputs, services delivered. It's about minimizing waste and maximizing productivity. Example: reducing the cost to process a passport application. Effectiveness, doing the right things. The extent to which a program or activity achieves its intended public value outcomes. Example: a passport program is effective if it successfully provides secure travel documents that are recognized worldwide, thereby enabling international travel and commerce. Equity, doing things for everyone, ensuring fair and just outcomes for all demographic groups. It asks whether services are accessible and outcomes are equitable across race, gender, geography, income, and ability. Example: offering passport services in multiple languages, having offices accessible by public transit, and ensuring wait times are not disproportionately longer in certain communities. The performance challenge: often, these goals can conflict. The most efficient process, e.g., moving all services online, may be less equitable for those without digital access. A high performer seeks solutions that advance all three goals, understanding that a sacrifice in one area must be a conscious, justified trade-off. 23. The Government Performance and Results Act, GPRA, and modern frameworks. The modern era of performance management in the U.S. federal government was catalyzed by the Government Performance and Results Act, GPRA, of 1993. This legislation mandated a shift from measuring inputs, how much money we spent, to measuring outcomes, what we achieved with that money. GPRA's legacy: it required agencies to develop strategic plans, set performance goals, and report annually on their results. It established the foundational language of performance management used today. Modern evolutions: GPRA has been updated and built upon by subsequent frameworks. The GPRA Modernization Act of 2010 emphasized frequent data-driven reviews and cross-agency collaboration on priority goals. The Foundations for Evidence-Based Policymaking Act of 2018, Evidence Act, pushed further, requiring agencies to leverage data and evidence to inform their decisions and evaluate their programs' implication for you. These laws are not just abstract requirements for headquarters. They create the framework that dictates your agency's strategic goals, which trickle down to division, office, and individual performance plans. Understanding this context explains why certain metrics are prioritized. 24. The challenge of measuring intangible outcomes. Some of government's most valuable contributions are the hardest to quantify. How do you measure the value of a safe neighborhood, a clean environment, or national pride? The problem: You cannot manage what you cannot measure. This adage from the private sector creates a real risk that government will prioritize the aspects of its work that are easily quantifiable, e.g., number of park visitors, over those that are not, e.g., the mental health benefit of green space. Strategies for high performers: 1. Use proxy measures. Instead of measuring trust, track metrics like citizen satisfaction scores on transparency or number of FOIA requests fulfilled on time. 2. Embrace qualitative data. Supplement numbers with stories, case studies, and citizen testimonials that provide rich, narrative evidence of impact. 3. Conduct longitudinal studies. Track outcomes over time to see gradual shifts, such as changes in community health indicators or economic development in a targeted area. 4. Focus on equity data. Disaggregate quantitative data by demographic group. A seemingly positive overall outcome can mask deeply inequitable results. Chapter conclusion. Defining performance is an active, ongoing process. It requires balancing tangible metrics with intangible values, and navigating the competing demands of efficiency, effectiveness, and equity. The high-performing public servant is not just a doer of tasks, but a strategist who understands this complex landscape and works within it to deliver maximum public value. 31. Intrinsic vs. extrinsic motivation. In mission-driven work, motivation in the public sector often differs significantly from the private sector. Due to its mission-oriented nature, extrinsic motivation is driven by external rewards or punishments. In government, include civil service protections, salary steps, benefits, and promotions. While important, these are often less potent motivators in government than in the private sector due to flatter hierarchies and more constrained salary bands. Intrinsic motivation comes from within, the inherent satisfaction and meaning derived from the work itself. In government, this is the primary engine of performance. It is the desire to make a difference, serve the public, contribute to a safer community, or ensure a more just society. This is the passion that fuels going the extra mile. The performance link. High performance is most sustainable when intrinsic and extrinsic motivations are aligned. A high-performing culture recognizes and nurtures intrinsic motivation by connecting individual tasks to the larger mission, while ensuring extrinsic factors like fair pay and recognition are not. Sources of demotivation. 32. Public service motivation, PSM theory and practice. Public service motivation, PSM, is a well-researched concept that explains the predisposition to serve the public good. It is the theoretical backbone of intrinsic motivation in government. The 4 dimensions of PSM: 1. Attraction to policy making, a desire to be involved in the political process and shape public policy. 2. Commitment to the public interest, a genuine conviction to serve the community and act for the benefit of society. 3. Compassion, a empathy-driven desire to help others, particularly the vulnerable. 4. Self-sacrifice, a willingness to forego tangible personal rewards, like higher private sector pay, for the intangible rewards of public service. Practical implications for performance. For individuals, understanding your own PSM can help you find roles and projects that align with your core drivers, preventing burnout and increasing job satisfaction. For managers, hiring for PSM, through value-based interview questions, can be more effective than hiring for skill alone. Cultivating a mission-focused culture feeds PSM and retains top talent. For leaders, publicly celebrating stories that exemplify PSM, e.g., an employee who devised a better way to help veterans, reinforces these values across the organization. 33. Navigating political pressure and administrative neutrality. Public servants operate at the intersection of politics and administration, a space that requires significant psychological dexterity. The principle of administrative neutrality, the ethos that the public service should implement the decisions of the elected government loyally and competently, regardless of personal political views. This ensures continuity and stability between administrations. The reality of political pressure, this can range from legitimate policy directives from new appointees to inappropriate requests that cross ethical or legal lines. Strategies for navigation: understand the line. Differentiate between policy direction, to be implemented, and undue interference, to be resisted through proper channels. Anchor in the law. Use legislation, mandates, and regulations as your objective guideposts for decision-making. Document objectively. Maintain clear records based on data and evidence to support your professional recommendations. Seek counsel, Utilize agency ethics officials, inspectors general, or trusted supervisors when facing pressure that feels inappropriate. 34. Combating apathy and bureaucratic inertia. The way it's always been done is one of the most powerful and destructive forces in government. It leads to stagnation, disengagement, and poor performance. Root causes: apathy and inertia are often symptoms of larger problems: psychological safety, fear of failure or reprisal for trying something new; learned helplessness, a belief that individual effort cannot overcome systemic obstacles; change fatigue, being subjected to too many poorly managed initiatives; lack of efficacy, not seeing the results of one's own work; strategies for re-engagement and momentum. For individuals, find your micro-mission, identify a small, manageable process you can improve, even if it's just for your own desk. Small wins build momentum. Connect with end users, interacting directly with the citizens you serve, e.g., through a front-line rotation, is the most powerful antidote to apathy. For managers, empower small experiments, give teams autonomy to test new ideas on a small scale. Without fear of blame if it fails. Create feedback loops, show employees how their work product is used and what impact it had. Close the loop between effort and outcome. For the culture, celebrate smart failure, recognize and reward thoughtful attempts at innovation that didn't work out, focusing on the lessons learned. Chapter conclusion: the performance of a government is inseparable from the psychological state of its workforce. By understanding motivation, nurturing public service motivation, ethically navigating political landscapes, and actively combating the forces of inertia, public servants can protect their own drive and contribute to building a more dynamic, effective, and fulfilling public service. Part 2, Core Competencies for High Performance. Chapter 4, Mastery of Process and Policy. If the foundations from Part I are the why and the where of government work, this chapter covers the essential how. Mastery of these core technical skills is what separates a well-intentioned employee from a truly high-performing one. This is the toolbox for effective execution. 41. Policy analysis and implementation. Policy is not just a document, it is a living directive that must be translated into action. This competency involves two critical phases: analysis, the what and why. This is the process of critically examining a policy to understand its intent, components, and implications. Key questions: what problem is this policy trying to solve? What are its specific goals and objectives? Who are the target beneficiaries? What are the mandated actions? What resources are allocated? What are the potential unintended consequences? The skill: breaking down dense, legalistic text into a clear, actionable plan. It involves identifying stakeholders, assessing risks, and forecasting challenges before they arise. Implementation: the how. This is the translation of policy into procedures, programs, and daily operations. Key actions: developing standard operating procedures, SOPs, designing forms and applications, training staff, configuring IT systems, establishing timelines, and setting up feedback mechanisms. The high performers' edge: the most effective implementers build flexibility and evaluation into the process from the start. They plan for how they will measure the policy's success, connecting back to Chapter 2, and remain agile enough to make adjustments based on real-world feedback. 42. Regulatory comprehension and application. Regulations are the rules that govern how policies are carried out and how citizens and businesses must behave. They have the force of law. Comprehension: understanding the rule. The challenge: regulatory language is often complex, technical, and open to interpretation. The skill: high performers learn to read regulations like a lawyer or a detective. They don't just read the words, they discern intent. They cross-reference sections, understand definitions, and consult guidance documents, legal opinions, or subject matter experts to grasp the full meaning. Application: enforcing and advising. The challenge: applying a rigid rule to a wide variety of real-world situations. The skill: this involves consistent, fair, and defensible judgment. It means being able to explain the why behind a regulation to a frustrated citizen or business owner. It also involves knowing when a situation requires escalation or an exception, and understanding the process for seeking 143. Mastering government-specific software and systems, e.g., grants management, case management. Government runs on specialized enterprise systems that are often unlike anything in the consumer world. Mastery of these tools is non-negotiable for performance types of systems, financial management, e.g., SAP, Oracle, for budgeting, procurement, and paying invoices, grants management, e.g., GrantsGov, agency-specific portals, for soliciting, awarding, and monitoring grants, case management, systems used to track interactions and services for specific clients, e.g., citizens receiving benefits, veterans, permit applicants, HR and payroll, systems for timekeeping, leave requests, and personnel actions. Beyond basic literacy, high performers go beyond knowing which buttons to push. They understand the data flow, how information entered into their screen impacts other parts of the agency, and the reports seen by leadership. Process integration, how the system enforces or interacts with official procedures and regulations. Workarounds and efficiency, how to use the system effectively, including legitimate shortcuts and ways to avoid common errors that cause delays. 44 Writing for government, briefs, memos, and public communications. The currency of government is the written word. The ability to write clearly, concisely, and for a specific audience is perhaps the most critical competency. Internal writing, the action memo. Purpose, to inform decision makers, seek approval, or provide a status update. The style, direct, objective, and evidence-based. The gold standard is the bottom line up front. Bluff, method, where the conclusion or recommendation is stated in the first paragraph, followed by supporting analysis and background. Key documents, decision memos, briefing papers, legislative analyses, email summaries. External writing, public communications. Purpose, to convey information clearly and accessibly to the public. The style, plain language, avoiding jargon and acronyms, using active voice and a respectful, helpful tone. Key documents, public notices, website content, fact sheets, response letters to constituent inquiries, press releases. The performance link, poor writing creates confusion, slows down decisions, and leads to errors and rework. Excellent writing creates clarity, drives efficient action, builds public trust, and is a hallmark of a competent, professional organization. Chapter conclusion, mastery of process and policy is the engine room of government. It is the technical, often unglamorous, work that turns ideas into outcomes. By developing deep competence in analysis, regulation, systems, and writing, a public servant builds the credibility and capability needed to deliver real value for the public. Chapter 5, Strategic and Systems Thinking. While Chapter 4 focused on the technical mastery of individual tasks, this chapter addresses the higher-order cognitive skills that enable public servants to solve complex problems and create lasting impact. Strategic and systems thinking involves stepping back from the day-to-day to understand the broader context, interconnections, and long-term implications of government action. 51 Seeing the big picture, interagency collaboration. The most pressing public challenges, from homelessness to cybersecurity to economic development, cannot be solved by a single agency working in isolation. They require a whole-of-government approach. Breaking down silos, government agencies are often structured vertically, but public problems are horizontal. High performers actively look for connections and dependencies outside their immediate unit. The art of collaboration, this is more than just attending a meeting. It involves understanding mandates, knowing what other agencies are authorized and funded to do, building relationships, establishing trust and open lines of communication with counterparts before a crisis hits, creating shared goals, developing common performance metrics that encourage cooperation rather than competition for resources or credit, navigating jurisdiction, respecting legal boundaries while finding creative ways to pool resources, share data, and align efforts for the public good. 52 Root cause analysis for public problems. Government too often addresses symptoms rather than causes, leading to recurring problems and wasted resources. Root cause analysis, RCA, is a disciplined method for getting to the underlying source of a problem, moving beyond the symptom. A longer wait time at a clinic, symptom, might be caused by a faulty scheduling system, problem, which itself is caused by an outdated IT procurement policy. Root cause, tools and techniques, the 5 whys. Repeatedly asking why to drill down from the surface symptom to the deeper cause. Fishbone, Ishikawa, diagrams, visually mapping the multiple potential causes of a problem, e.g., people, processes, technology, environment, to identify the most likely root cause performance impact. Applying RCA ensures that government interventions are targeted and effective. It transforms a public servant from a processor of requests into a problem solver who adds genuine value by eliminating the source of inefficiency or citizen frustration. 53. Risk management and contingency planning in government. The role of government is inherently risk-laden. It is responsible for protecting the public from a vast array of threats, both natural and man-made. A reactive posture is a failure of duty. High performance requires proactive risk management. From crisis response to risk management, this involves a systematic process. 1. Risk identification. What could go wrong? E.g., a cyber attack, a natural disaster, a critical system failure, a public health emergency. 2. Risk assessment. What is the likelihood and potential impact of each risk? 3. Risk mitigation. What can be done to reduce the likelihood or impact? E.g., implementing stronger cybersecurity protocols, reinforcing infrastructure. 4. Contingency planning. If the risk materializes despite our efforts, what is the specific, practiced plan to respond and recover? E.g., disaster response plans, data backup and recovery procedures, public communication protocols. The performance mindset. This is not an exercise in fear, but one of responsibility and resilience. It ensures continuity of government operations and public services, even in the face of disruption. 54. Long-term planning in short-term political cycles. One of the greatest tensions in government is the conflict between the short-term nature of political cycles, 2 to 4 years, and the long-term horizon required for meaningful change, 10 to 30 years. High performers learn to navigate this tension. The challenge: elected officials and political appointees are often incentivized by quick, visible wins that can be showcased in the next election. This can lead to underinvestment in long-term infrastructure, research, and prevention programs. Strategies for sustaining long-term vision: creating irreversible momentum, breaking large initiatives into smaller, concrete phases that create their own constituencies and become difficult to reverse. Building bipartisan support, framing long-term goals, e.g., infrastructure modernization, climate resilience, around shared values rather than partisan ideology. Using data and evidence, making a compelling, non-political case for long-term investment by demonstrating future cost savings, economic benefits, or risks avoided. Institutionalizing the vision, embedding long-term goals into strategic plans, performance frameworks, and agency culture so they endure beyond any single administration. Chapter conclusion: strategic and systems thinking. Elevate a public servant from a competent administrator to a visionary leader by seeing the interconnected big picture, diagnosing root causes, managing risk proactively, and steadfastly championing long-term goals. They ensure that government action is not just efficient and effective, but truly transformative for the communities it serves. Chapter 6: Communication and Engagement in a Democracy. Government effectiveness is inextricably linked to its ability to communicate clearly and engage authentically with its many audiences. This chapter moves beyond internal memos to the critical public-facing competencies that build trust, ensure transparency, and facilitate meaningful two-way dialogue between the government and the people it serves. 61. Communicating with elected officials and political appointees. This form of communication is a unique art that blends factual rigor with political acumen. It requires understanding that your audience operates on different timelines and with different pressures than the civil service. Know your audience, understand the official's priorities, constituency concerns, and key committee assignments. Tailor your communication to show how the issue aligns with their interests or impacts their district. The one-page rule: respect their time. Distill complex issues into a single page using the bluff, bottom line up front method. Start with a clear recommendation or the purpose of the communication, followed by concise background, analysis, and options. Objective neutrality: your role is to provide factual, evidence-based information and professional analysis, not political advocacy. Present options and consequences clearly, without personal bias. Your credibility depends on your objectivity. Anticipate questions, prepare for likely questions, especially those that might arise from political or public scrutiny. Have supporting data and clear Jargon-free explanations ready. 62 Public speaking and presentation skills for public hearings. Public hearings are a cornerstone of democratic engagement, but they can be high-stress environments. Effective performance here demonstrates accountability and respect for the public. Preparation is key. Know your material. Cold rehearse your testimony, anticipating difficult or hostile questions. Have backup slides or data points ready. Clarity and accessibility, avoid acronyms and technical jargon use. Plain language and relatable examples. The goal is to be understood by everyone in the room, from experts to concerned citizens. Professional demeanor, maintain composure, even when faced with criticism or anger. Listen actively, acknowledge emotions, I understand this is a frustrating issue, and respond with facts and empathy, not defensiveness. Visual aids, use clear, simple slides. Use graphs and charts to make data understandable, not complex tables of numbers. Ensure any handouts are equally clear and accessible. 63 Writing for clarity and transparency, FOIA requests and public responses. This competency is where the principle of transparency becomes a practical writing skill. It involves handling legally mandated public disclosures with accuracy and professionalism. The Freedom of Information Act, FOIA, response, process over panic. Understand your agency's FOIA process intimately. The key is a thorough, consistent, and defensible process for searching, reviewing, and disclosing records. Clarity in redaction, if information must be withheld, the justification must be clear and precisely cite the relevant legal exemption. The response letter itself should be a model of clear writing, explaining the process and the reasons for any denials or redactions in understandable terms. General public correspondence, whether responding to a citizen's email, a community group's query, or a press inquiry, the principles are the same. Timeliness, respond within established time frames. Accuracy, ensure every fact is correct. Helpfulness, even if the answer is no, explain why clearly and, if possible, direct the person to another resource or pathway. The goal is to solve the citizen's problem, not just close a ticket. 64 Digital literacy, using social media and digital tools for citizen engagement. The public square has moved online. Digital literacy is no longer optional, it is a core requirement for modern public engagement and performance. From broadcasting to engaging, move beyond using social media as a one-way megaphone for announcements. Use it to listen, monitor public sentiment and identify emerging issues. Engage in dialogue, respond to questions and comments promptly and politely. Crowdsource input, use polls, questions, and interactive tools to gather feedback on policies or initiatives. Accessibility and inclusion, ensure all digital content meets accessibility standards, e.g., alt text for images, captions for videos, so people with disabilities can fully participate. Crisis communication, digital platforms are critical for rapid dissemination of essential information during emergencies. Understand how to use them effectively to provide timely, accurate, and actionable updates to the public. Data security and ethics, be acutely aware of the boundaries between professional and personal communication, and always adhere to agency social media policies and security protocols. Chapter conclusion, masterful communication and genuine engagement are the mechanisms through which government earns its legitimacy. By communicating with elected officials effectively, speaking to the public with respect and clarity, writing with transparency, and engaging digitally with purpose, public servants do more than convey information. They build the trust and partnership essential for a high-performing, responsive government. Chapter 7, Ethics, Integrity, and Accountability. This chapter addresses the bedrock of public service, the ethical foundation upon which all government performance is built. Technical competence and strategic brilliance are meaningless without unwavering integrity. Here, we explore the practical application of ethical principles, moving beyond abstract concepts to the daily decisions that define a trustworthy public institution. 71 The public trust, navigating ethical dilemmas. The public trust is not a vague ideal, it is a tangible asset eroded or strengthened by every action of every public servant. Ethical dilemmas in government are rarely a clear choice between right and wrong, but often between two rights or two competing values. The nature of ethical dilemmas, common conflicts include, loyalty vs truth, when a directive from a superior conflicts with your professional judgment, or the facts. Efficiency vs process, when cutting corners would speed up a result but violate rules designed to ensure fairness, confidentiality vs transparency, when the obligation to protect sensitive information clashes with the public's right to know. A framework for decision-making. High performers use a structured approach to navigate these gray areas. 1. Identify the ethical issue, clearly articulate the core conflict. 2. Gather facts. What are the relevant laws, regulations, and professional standards? 3. Identify stakeholders, who will be affected by the decision, and how. 4. Consider alternatives, explore all possible courses of action. 5. Assess consequences, weigh the short and long-term impacts of each alternative. 6. Make a decision and act, choose the option that best upholds the public interest and your agency's values. 7. Reflect, learn from the experience to better handle future dilemmas. 72. Understanding and avoiding conflicts of interest. A conflict of interest arises when a public servant's private interests could improperly influence the performance of their official duties. The key is not just to avoid unethical acts, but to avoid even the appearance of a conflict to maintain public confidence. Types of conflicts. Financial, when an official decision could result in personal financial gain for yourself, your family, or your associates. Confidential information, using non-public information for private gain outside employment, a second job that interferes with your government duties or creates a conflicting loyalty. Personal relationships, when a family member or close personal friend could benefit from your official actions. Proactive management, the solution is not isolation but transparency. Disclosure, know your agency's requirements for filing confidential financial disclosure reports, OG Form 450, or public financial disclosure reports, OG Form 278. Recusal, the primary tool for managing a conflict. If a matter arises where you have a personal interest, you must formally recuse yourself from any discussion, decision, or action on that matter. Document the recusal. 73. Whistleblower protections and responsibilities. Whistleblowing, the act of reporting wrongdoing, is a critical mechanism of accountability. It is often the last line of defense against waste, fraud, abuse, and threats to public health and safety. Protections. Federal and state laws, like the Whistleblower Protection Act, protect employees from retaliation, e.g., firing, demotion, harassment, for disclosing information they reasonably believe evidences a violation of law, rule, or regulation. Gross mismanagement, gross waste of funds and abuse of authority is substantial and specific danger to public health or safety. Responsibilities and channels. Being a whistleblower is not a first resort. High performers understand the proper channels. 1. Internal reporting, if possible, report the concern through internal channels first, such as a supervisor, an agency hotline, or the Office of the Inspector General, OIG. 2. External reporting, if internal reporting is not feasible or effective, disclosures can be made to specific Congress members, or in some cases, to the public. Good faith, disclosures must be made in good faith, not for personal gain or with knowledge that the information is false. 74. Cultivating a culture of transparency. A culture of ethics cannot be sustained by individuals alone, it must be embedded in the organization's DNA. Transparency is the practice that makes this culture visible and real. Leading by example, leaders must model ethical behavior, admit mistakes, and create psychological safety for employees to raise concerns without fear. Default to openness, proactively release information to the public without waiting for a FOIA request. Publish data on performance, spending, and outcomes in accessible formats, e.g., open data portals. Clear communication of values. Ethics shouldn't be a once-a-year training video, it should be a constant topic of discussion in meetings, in performance plans, and in how success is celebrated. Robust internal systems, establish clear, accessible, and anonymous channels for reporting concerns. Ensure that those who report in good faith are protected, and that allegations are investigated promptly and thoroughly. Chapter conclusion. Ethics, integrity, and accountability are the non-negotiable prerequisites for high performance in government. They are the guardrails that ensure our efficiency, effectiveness, and innovation always serve the public good by equipping yourself to navigate dilemmas, avoid conflicts, understand your role as a potential whistleblower, and advocate for transparency. you do more than protect yourself, you actively fortify the public trust that makes effective governance possible. Part 3, Tools and Systems for Development. Chapter 8, Performance Management Systems in Government and Organizations. Performance is the sum of its individuals' contributions. This chapter moves from individual competencies to the organizational systems designed to develop, measure, and manage employee performance. A well-designed performance management system is not a bureaucratic exercise but a strategic tool for aligning individual efforts with agency mission and fostering a culture of continuous growth. 81. Designing and implementing employee performance plans. The performance plan is the fundamental contract between an employee and the organization, translating abstract agency goals into concrete individual expectations. Elements of an effective performance plan. Alignment with agency goals. Each element should clearly connect to the strategic objectives of the division, agency, and government-wide priorities, e.g., the President's management agenda. This answers the why for the employee SMART goals. Objectives should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Vague directives like improve customer service are replaced with reduce average call center wait time to under 3 minutes by Q4. Core competencies. Beyond tasks, plans should include behaviors and values critical to public service, e.g., demonstrates ethical conduct, fosters inclusive collaboration. Development goals. Dedicate a section to the employee's growth, identifying skills to acquire or strengthen, ensuring the plan is as much about investment as it is about evaluation. The implementation process. Effective implementation requires ongoing dialogue, not just an annual signature. It involves collaborative setting. Manager and employee should develop the plan together, ensuring buy-in and clarity. Regular check-ins, using the plan as a living document for monthly or quarterly progress reviews, allowing for mid-course corrections as priorities shift. 82. The art of constructive feedback and performance reviews. The performance review is the capstone of the cycle, but its value is determined by the quality of feedback provided throughout the year. The art of constructive feedback. Timely and specific. Feedback should be given close to the event and site. Specific examples, not generalities. The way you handled that angry citizen by calmly reiterating the policy was effective, vs. you have good customer service skills. Balanced. Regularly provide positive reinforcement for what is going well alongside constructive guidance for improvement. A ratio of 3:1, praise to criticism, is often cited as effective for maintaining morale and engagement. Forward-looking. Focus on behavior and solutions, not personality. The goal is to improve future performance, not to litigate past mistakes. Conducting the formal review. No surprises. The formal evaluation should summarize conversations that have already happened. It should never contain new feedback. Employee-centric. Allow the employee to do most of the talking. Use questions like, what do you feel were your biggest accomplishments, and what challenges did you face? Documentation. The written review must be clear, factual, and directly tied to the elements of the performance plan. It serves as the official record and is critical for justifying rewards or addressing performance issues. 83. 360-degree feedback in a hierarchical structure. 360-degree feedback involves gathering performance input from an employee's subordinates, colleagues, supervisors, and sometimes even external stakeholders. In a traditionally hierarchical government culture, this can be powerful but challenging. Benefits. Provides a holistic view, mitigates supervisory bias and reveals blind spots by showing how an employee's behavior impacts peers, direct reports, and partners. Develops self-awareness, offers a mirror for employees to see themselves as others see them, which is crucial for leadership development. Promotes collaboration. By seeking input from colleagues, it implicitly reinforces the value of teamwork. Implementation challenges and best practices. Anonymity and confidentiality. Ensure anonymity for raters to encourage honest feedback. Use third-party facilitators or software to aggregate results. Developmental, not evaluative. Position it as a tool for personal growth, not for determining pay or promotion, especially when first introduced. This reduces fear and gaming of the system. Training. Train both employees and raters on how to give and receive constructive 360 feedback effectively. 84. Dealing with chronic underperformance. Ignoring chronic underperformance demoralizes high performers, lowers the bar for the entire organization, and fails the public. Addressing it is a difficult but essential managerial duty. A systematic, documentation-heavy approach. 1. Identify the gap, clearly document the difference between expected performance, per the plan, and actual performance. Collect specific examples. 2. Diagnose the cause. Is it a skill deficit, a motivation issue, a resource constraint, or a personal problem? The solution depends on the root cause. 3. Create a performance improvement plan, PIPA formal, time-bound, e.g., 60 to 90 days, document that outlines the specific performance deficiencies, the measurable improvement required, the support and resources the agency will provide, e.g., training, mentoring, the consequences of not meeting the PIP requirements. 4. Execute and document, hold frequent check-ins, provide continuous feedback, and meticulously document all meetings and progress. 5. Make the decision, at the end of the PIP period, based on the evidence, make the fair decision to return the employee to normal status, extend the PIP, or initiate removal procedures in accordance with civil service rules. Chapter Conclusion. A robust performance management system is the engine of a high-performing agency. By creating clear plans, fostering a culture of continuous feedback, leveraging multi-source input, and addressing underperformance fairly and firmly, government organizations can unlock the full potential of their workforce, ensuring that every public servant is equipped and motivated to deliver on the promise of public service. Chapter 9. Continuous learning and skill development in a sector defined by complex mandates, evolving technologies, and ever-changing public needs. Standing still is moving backward. This chapter focuses on the imperative of lifelong learning for the public servant. High performance is not a static achievement but a continuous process of growth, adaptation, and skill acquisition. Here, we explore the pathways and tools available for professional development within the government ecosystem. 91. Leveraging agency-specific training programs. The most accessible development resources are often those provided by your own agency. These programs are designed with your specific mission, rules, and systems in mind. Identifying opportunities. HR and organizational development units. These are the primary hubs for training catalogs. They offer courses on topics ranging from mandatory ethics and cybersecurity training to soft skills like project management and communication. Subject matter expert, SME-led training. Often the most valuable training is informal and internal. Seek out sessions led by agency experts on nuanced topics like interpreting the new procurement guidance or advanced use of our case management system. Shifting from obligation to opportunity. Move beyond viewing mandatory training as a checkbox exercise. Approach every session, even the most basic, with a learner's mindset. Ask yourself, what is one new thing I can learn or one process I can improve based on this information? Advocating for needed training. If you identify a skills gap within your team, proactively make a case to your supervisor or HR for developing or sourcing a training program to address it. 92. The value of rotational assignments and detail opportunities. Temporary assignments outside one's usual role are among the most powerful yet underutilized development tools in government. Benefits, breaks down silos, provides first-hand understanding of how other parts of the agency operate, fostering empathy and improving future collaboration. Builds institutional knowledge, prevents critical expertise from being concentrated in a single person. Tests and develops new skills, allows employees to try on a new career path or develop skills in a low-risk environment, e.g., a policy analyst doing a detail in a front-line service center, re-energizes careers, combats stagnation and provides a fresh perspective, both for the employee and the host office. Making it happen. These opportunities are rarely handed out. High performers are proactive. Express interest, inform your supervisor of your desire for a rotational assignment as part of your development plan. Network, informally speak to managers in other divisions you find interesting. Formal programs. Many agencies have formal detail or rotational programs. Seek them out and apply. 93. Pursuing fellowships and external education, e.g., public administration degrees. Significant investment in external education signals a deep commitment to one's professional growth and to the public service profession as a whole. Fellowships, prestigious programs, e.g., Presidential Management Fellows Program, White House Fellows, agency-specific leadership fellowships, provide intensive training, high-level visibility, and rotational assignments. They are pipelines for future government leaders' academic credentials, pursuing a Master of Public Administration, MPA, Master of Public Policy, MPP, or other relevant advanced degrees provides, theoretical frameworks, a deeper understanding of the why behind government structures and policies, a powerful network, connections with peers from other agencies and levels of government credibility, a recognized credential that can be valuable for career advancement. Navigating support. Many agencies offer tuition assistance or reimbursement programs. The key is to clearly articulate to your supervisor how your chosen program will directly enhance your ability to contribute to the agency's mission. 94. Creating a personal development plan, PDP. A personal development plan, PDP, is your strategic roadmap for growth. It is a proactive, personal document that goes beyond the agency's performance plan to focus on your long-term career aspirations. Key components of a PDP: 1. Self-assessment. Honestly evaluate your current skills, strengths, and weaknesses. Tools like SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, analysis, or 360-degree feedback can be useful. 2. Career vision. Where do you want to be in 3 to 5 years? What role do you want to play? 3. Learning objectives. Based on the gap between your current state and your vision, what specific skills, knowledge, or experiences do you need to acquire? E.g., gain experience managing a budget, become a better public speaker, learn data analytics software. 4. Action plan. For each objective, list concrete actions, resources, and timelines. Action: improve supervisory skills. Resources: take Managing for Results course offered by HR in Q2, ask to mentor a summer intern, seek feedback from my team quarterly. Timeline: complete course by June, mentor intern this summer. 5. Measurement. How will you know you've succeeded? Define metrics for your growth using the PDP. Don't let it sit in a drawer. Review it quarterly with your supervisor, discuss progress during performance check-ins, and update it annually. It is a living document that ensures you are the primary author of your career chapter. Conclusion. Continuous learning is the hallmark of a resilient and effective public servant. By strategically leveraging agency resources, seeking out stretch assignments, investing in formal education, and, most importantly, taking ownership of your growth through a personal development plan, you ensure that your skills and your value to the public continue to grow throughout your career. Chapter 10. Mentorship, Sponsorship, and Building Networks. No public servant is an island. Career growth and high performance are accelerated not in isolation, but through a robust web of professional relationships. This chapter moves beyond formal training to explore the vital role of organic connections. Mentors who guide you, sponsors who advocate for you, networks that support you, and communities that empower you. 101. Finding a mentor and being a mentor. Mentorship is a cornerstone of professional development, offering a structured yet personal way to transfer knowledge, wisdom, and institutional context. Finding a mentor. Look beyond your immediate supervisor, seek someone in a role or with expertise you admire, either within your agency or in another part of government. This provides a safe space for advice not tied to your performance reviews. Be specific in your ask. Instead of a vague "will you be my mentor?" propose a low commitment trial. Say, I admire your work in specific area. Would you be willing to meet with me for coffee once a quarter to share your insights? Define goals. Enter the relationship knowing what you want to learn, e.g., I want to understand how to navigate the budget process, or I want to improve my executive presence. Being a mentor, it's about giving back. Mentoring reinforces your own knowledge, provides fresh perspectives, and builds your legacy by developing the next generation of leaders. Active listening. The best mentors ask powerful questions that help ments find their own answers, rather than simply giving directives. Share your network. Introduce your mentee to other professionals who can help them grow. 102. The difference between mentorship and sponsorship. This is a critical distinction for career advancement. Both are essential, but they serve different functions. A mentor talks to you. They offer advice, feedback, and support in a private, safe setting. They help you prepare for opportunities. A sponsor talks about you. They are typically a senior leader with influence who uses their political and social capital to advocate for you in rooms where you are not present. They champion you for promotions, high visibility projects, and key assignments. How to cultivate sponsors: excel consistently, sponsors stake their reputation on you. Exceptional, reliable performance is the prerequisite. Be visible, deliver excellent work in forums where senior leaders will see it. Volunteer for cross-functional teams. Articulate your ambitions, make your career goals known to leaders you trust. A sponsor can't advocate for you if they don't know what you want. 103. Building your internal and external professional network. Your network is your net worth in terms of information, opportunity, and support. Building it requires a strategic and genuine effort. Internal networking: break out of your silo, proactively schedule informational interviews with colleagues in other divisions to learn about their work. Volunteer for working groups. Cross-agency or interdivisional projects are prime opportunities to build relationships. Attend agency-wide events. Don't just get the cookie and leave. Stay, mingle, and introduce yourself to someone new. External networking: join professional associations, organizations like the American Society for Public Administration, ASPA, ICMA, local government management, or niche groups for your profession, e.g., NASIC for accountants, are invaluable. Attend conferences and trainings. The formal learning is often secondary to the relationships built during coffee breaks. Leverage LinkedIn. Curate a professional profile and actively connect with colleagues you meet. Engage with content posted by thought leaders in your field. 104. The role of employee resource groups, ERGs, also known as affinity groups, are voluntary, employee-led groups that foster a diverse, inclusive workplace aligned with the organizations they serve.